That's the way it's got to be. And, here we are. Great show, first of all. I didn't realize I was going to get such a preview of the Pirates listening to the show. These Pirates are like hot on my list for fantasy this year, So, hey, a great show. Look, Chappie, you have arrived when you can make the Pirates sound interesting, right?
Well, I'll tell you, this is just me being, like I said on my show, I'm a Cubs fan. I caught a Sean Dustin foul ball at Three River Stadium when I was 13 years old. Kind of sealed my fate, So, but that's okay. I still have always liked the Pirates. I'm a big Steelers fan, as you know. So, it's just exciting to see that they're shooting some adrenaline and some fun back into that. And the fans of Pittsburgh don't see it yet, Art.
No, and
they have no idea.
And I know Derek Shelton. Shelty was with the fantasy camp with the Yankees back 20 years ago when I first started going, and he basically ran the camp. But he was also a great guy. I mean, he was there ready to work, ready to have fun, all of those things. I think the Pittsburgh youth movement is on, and I think that Derek Shelton. They're not going to win this year, but who thought they would, other than maybe you? But the thing is, he's going to be there. They're going to give him a chance. I think he's got a long leash, and I think he's going to work well with these young kids.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I just love the core of Newman, Bell, and Reynolds. Reynolds is so good, and people just don't realize how good of a pure hitter Brian Reynolds is. That nucleus, and then you add in Brian Hayes and Tyler O'Neill coming up, as soon as this year, maybe probably more than likely next year, especially for O'Neill, you have a really good core there, and they're only going to build on that.
Well, first of all, before we get started, I love the intro with the Pirates, but you guys have got to love our caps tonight. We got the home and away versions of Les Expos. It's the first time since 1968, Chappie, no Canadian baseball.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's a shame that we can't see these games in a way, but in another way, it's great because I personally love the empty stadiums. I think they're great. I think it adds a whole other dimension to the game. I hope and pray that the Blue Jays get to play at PNC Park because it just doesn't get better than that field.
Well, I think they're going to play in Charlotte. Did you ever heard? You've heard that one, right? And
I have.
So I say, bring them to Charlotte. Let's let fans go in around Labor Day, and I'll go to Charlotte and watch some games. So hey,
that's a beautiful stadium. When we were there, we lived in Charlotte for a couple of years. There was still the old stadium down in South Carolina, and it was a crap hole. But they were building that stadium. You could see it being resurrected. They've said that they want to play in a major league park, but that's same here in Indy. Indy's the same way. Those fields are equivalent to major league parks. They're just so well put together.
Well, the thing
and the atmosphere around it is that of a major league park.
The thing I'm concerned about is the social distancing. I'm watching. You can't see it, but I'm watching a great clash tonight. The Rangers and the Rockies from Arlington's new park. But, they showed a preview before the game came on, the great facilities they have at these parks. And minor league facilities just aren't major league facilities. And I'm wondering about the social distancing. Corona is still, unfortunately, a big player in our society. We don't know for how much longer. Hopefully not much longer, but it is right now. And I just feel like the minor league facilities may not be as equipped as the major league facilities to handle the influx of players.
Yeah, and that, here's the thing. In a lot of ways, baseball's a guinea pig. And you got to commend these guys for wanting to do it. And, it is, in a weird way, a sense of bravery, right?
Yeah.
Because so many things could happen. And I hate talking about this crap. I know you're kind of the same way. I don't like talking about it. But it is our current environment. And, I agree. You think about things like the support staff, getting to and from the stadium, stuff like that.
Yeah, and we've all got to deal with it. But the thing is, if one team goes down as a team,
Right.
what does that do to the integrity of the game? And of course, that's our concern with this season. It's our concern with fantasy. We'll talk about all that. But before we get much further, I know you see the backdrop behind me, but I got to stand up a little and let the fans see what I'm wearing tonight. Everybody sees the Expos hat, but I have the official King Hap
There you go.
Happy Hour, established 2019. King Hap, I know you're loving it. I got those on my birthday from King Hap, and I promised him I would wear it on my very first show, and I'm true to my word, King Hap. And we're getting all these questions. So I'm getting questions over here about players. Oh, man. Charlie Blackman.
It's amazing, isn't it, Arnie? Isn't video great?
That's great. Charlie Blackman's alive and well in Arlington tonight. Oh, by the way. It's one. Look, you get Colorado, you get Texas. What do you expect a lot of? Runs.
Right.
1-0 in the fourth inning. And
I saw Daniel Murphy's homer.
Murphy killed it, slaughtered it. Gibson is pitching like a no-hitter, except for that.
Right.
But hey, it's preseason. It's what it is. But Chappie, before we get into our material, I am in a state of mourning tonight. Just so you know.
Okay.
The Yankees send down Jordan Montgomery. Oh my gosh, what are they doing? He's the best thing we got other than Garrett Cole. And I thought we were playing in a season, Phil Chaplin, where every game mattered.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I saw that too, and we had kind of talked. We don't normally talk much about what we're going to talk about, but we had talked about talking about Montgomery, and boy, I watched him the other night. He looked like an ace. I thought it was Paxton out there, and I don't think it's a big deal though, Arnie. I mean, I just think it's one of you're going to see a lot of that. Especially with young pitchers coming off of injury, you're going to see a lot of pitchers getting protected, sent down, brought back up. I mean, the whole Gavin Lux thing, Tony Gonsolin, there's going to be a lot of names that people know and are going to be surprised when they're sent down because it's just teams are going to maximize their entire roster this year more than ever before. And probably never will again.
Jake McGee, I love the ad, okay? I love the ad by the Dodgers. I totally get it. And you've got two guys. I heard your show. I'm not going to repeat everything you said. I personally think Chris Taylor will get the nod because Kiki can play the outfield, I think, a little bit better. And so I see Chris Taylor now, fantasy-wise, being a lot more of an asset than he was 24 hours ago. The Yankees, here's what I don't get. I got to get off this bandwagon, but here we go. They have these days off, but they're going to let J. Happ pitch early in the year and Montgomery be somewhere else just twiddling his thumbs. And I also heard this tonight. Look, Game 3, Boone's thinking about going to some relief corps to start the game. I mean, are you kidding me? We got to win these games. Every team, I think, has a sense of urgency. There we go. I'm off my box. We'll talk about other stuff.
Listen, I'll piggyback just one real quick. The third game thing, I can almost buy in if you're talking about a game where you use your pen. That's where you just, because you got a deep pen and you got to kind of keep them worked, right? You have to imagine Cole's not going to need the pen at all, right? Paxton probably won't need the pen much. So it's one of those things where it makes sense to have that day where you can kind of work those guys, keep them fresh, because you will need them eventually. But with Chapman currently coming back from injury, that changes things, right? That takes another one of those arms, especially the most important one, off the back end. That shrinks everything you got. I don't know. I mean, I know they like Loaisaga. He looked really good 2 years ago. They've just got a lot of options, Arn.
Loaisaga has 97, 98. Look,
Right.
they're probably their third best arm is Clark Schmidt. He's been sent down. I tell you who concerns me there, Chappie. and you've read the same stuff I have, but the reports are Big Maple just doesn't have the velo yet. And, you know, I don't know if I'm that concerned. I want to see him pitch. They haven't really been, you know, pumped up. We're playing each other. It's not really the rigors of a schedule. But if Big Maple doesn't have the velocity, and we've got Jordan Montgomery down on the farm grazing with the cows, I mean, the Yankees could start off not as hot. And last year they didn't start off that well, remember? And this year it's another ball game. There you go.
Here's the thing, Orrin. Here's the thing. Trade bait. They're trying to get rid of J. Happ. They want us. He must be pitching well, and I mean that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of teams would love to have a lefty. That's the one thing. I mean, I know they'll never do this, but can you imagine how much the Red Sox would love to have a J.A. Happ on their team with the roster they have right now?
Right? Yeah. I just don't know what the Red Sox would be able to give up to get him, though. I mean, it's not like their farm system's flush.
No.
Right?
No. I tell you what, the Red Sox, though, interesting how they start the year. Did you see who the Orioles named as their opening day starter today?
I didn't. I saw Means was out. I did not see who they replaced him with.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, I'll hold that for just a second. But I will tell you, I go online and I'm looking, okay, Tommy Malone. That's who's starting opening day. Okay, yeah, so I go to my fantasy leagues and I'm like, which right-hander on the Red Sox is still available? And there are two. I heard you talk about him earlier when you were comparing to Lurie Garcia. Yes, I was listening and watching. But don't you guys out there love to think that Jose Peraza could be fantasy gold in 2020?
Yeah.
Chappie, second base, shortstop, outfield. He's going to lead off against lefties. He's going to steal you some bases. He hit 288 2 years ago. I love Peraza.
I do too, and that's a great place to start, Arn. I'll
start with the Bo Sox, right?
I kind of thought that Peraza was going to take the same trajectory that Ketel Marte would. And maybe a few less home runs, because I think the desert does a lot for Ketel out there, but more stolen bases. I mean, these guys were both Cuban prospects. They both came up young.